week 11 of the fantasy basketball season. And here's a few centers I would drop this week. The first guy is Kelly Olynyk and the Miami Heat. So Olynyk, it's been a weird season for him. Some weeks he looks like one of the better players in fantasy basketball and on this Miami Heat roster. And some weeks he disappears and he has no production or no impact on the game or in fantasy basketball. And on the season, he's ranked 140th in fantasy ball, 9.9 points a game, 5.7 rebounds, 2 assists, 1.9 threes a game, 75% from the foul line, and 42% from the field. But in the last couple weeks now, the numbers and the ranking have dropped here for Olynyk. 8.8 points a game, 4.9 rebounds, 2 assists a game, 90% from the foul line, and 40% from the field. So Kelly Olynyk, his minutes, they've been pretty much the same, but he just can't be productive right now. And he's shooting the ball at a low field goal percentage rate, but he's still playing 25, 30 minutes a game, so the minutes are there, but the production hasn't. And February 24th versus Toronto, 7 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. February 26th versus Utah, 8 points, 5 rebounds, an assist, and 2 threes. And then last night versus Atlanta, 9 points, 5 rebounds, a steal, and a 3. So those numbers are nothing to go crazy about for Olynyk. And right now, he's just not being productive. And he's putting up mediocre stat lines. And he's a player you definitely could drop off your roster this week at the center position. The next center is Cody Zeller of the Charlotte Hornets. Zeller, he was a hot pickup for a few weeks in weeks 7 and 8. But now with the hip contusion and the stats going down, he's a player definitely droppable here on the season. He's ranked 128 in fantasy basketball with 9.7 points a game, 7.5 rebounds, 2.4 assists, 75% from the foul line, and 51% from the field. And in the last couple weeks, he's ranked 260th in this time. Zeller, 7.7 points a game, 5.3 boards, 2.3 assists, 75% from the foul line, and 45% from the field. So he's missed the last 2 games, like I mentioned, with the hip contusion. And he was only playing anywhere from 18 to 22 minutes the last few games before he went down with the injury as Zeller. So the production hasn't been there. And he's been a weird player the last couple seasons for fantasy owners in the Hornets. And I don't even think the Hornets are that big on this guy anyway. February 20th versus Golden State, 5 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. February 22nd in Utah, 8 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. And then February 24th at Phoenix, 10 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and 2 blocks. So it's not great production. He's more like an 8 and 5 guy right now, which isn't anything you're going to go nuts about on your fantasy roster, like I mentioned. And now he missed the February 26th game at Golden State and the February 28th game at Sacramento. So we'll see if he comes back here tonight at Portland. I doubt it. But anyway, he's droppable. In the third and final center, droppable this week's Hassan Whiteside of the Sacramento Kings. So the second week in a row, Whiteside, he makes this list here as a droppable player at the center position. Now he's on the list with the protocols, and he's going to remain out, and he's already missed 5 games, and it most likely will be 6 games here for Whiteside. And now with rumors flying around, Whiteside will probably get bought out or traded before the March 25th deadline. I don't think Sacramento, we're going to see him play for this team anymore. And if it does, it'll be in a limited role where he's only going to play a few minutes a game. So he hasn't played since February 8th was his last game. So the last 3 games before that, February 18th versus Miami, 5.6 rebounds, 2 blocks. February 20th at Chicago, 12.7 rebounds, an assist and a block in only 16 minutes of play. And then February 21st at Milwaukee, 6.6 rebounds for Whiteside. So Whiteside, we saw him last season have a great season for fantasy owners with the Portland Trailblazers. But the Kings, they signed him in the offseason to a minimum deal. And for whatever reason, they just haven't liked him since the get-go of the season, I believe, in my opinion, is Whiteside with the limited minutes, not playing. But when we see him play big minutes, he still puts up the numbers as Whiteside. And right now, he's going to be droppable. He's still owned in 60% of fantasy leagues. But if I could get rid of him, I would right now until there's a resolution on if he gets traded or bought out and see what his role is with his new team. But I think he's definitely droppable and not a guy to wait for. So that's a few centers I would drop here in Week 11 of the fantasy basketball season.